January 2nd, 2025, 11:23 a.m. The moment I discovered my son had lied to my face, stolen my money, and destroyed what was left of our relationship, all for a car. I was staring at the clock on my kitchen wall through tears that wouldn't stop coming. The one with the faded yellow daisies around the edge that my late husband Robert had bought me 32 years ago. A Tuesday morning that started like any other, but ended with my world collapsing. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set down my coffee mug. The ceramic made a sharp click against the granite countertop. On my phone screen was a photo from my son Marcus's Instagram. Not the New Year's Eve party I had given him $10,000 to throw. No, it was a gleaming red Porsche Boxster with a giant white bow on the hood. My son's girlfriend, Amber, was draped across the hood in a tight silver dress, her blonde hair catching the sunlight. The caption read, "Best boyfriend ever. Dreams do come true. Brand new Porsche." My chest felt tight. I couldn't breathe right. I called Marcus immediately. He picked up on the fourth ring. "Marcus, honey, I'm looking at Amber's Instagram and I'm confused. Where are the photos from the party? You said you were having everyone over for New Year's. That's why you needed the money." There was a pause. Then I heard him laugh. Actually laugh. "Oh, Mom, come on. There was no party. I used your money for the down payment on Amber's car. She's been wanting a Porsche forever. I'm financing the rest, obviously, but your 10 grand made it possible. Besides, that money was a gift, wasn't it? You gave it to me." My voice came out weak, like someone had squeezed all the air from my lungs. "Marcus, you told me it was a loan. You promised you'd pay me back after the party. You said it was for food, decorations, a DJ. I don't remember saying that. And even if I did, you can't prove it, Mom. It's your word against mine. Look, I gotta go. Amber and I are taking the car to show her parents." "Marcus, wait, we need to talk about this. Don't call me again about this. Seriously, just don't." The line went dead. But what Marcus didn't know was that in 73 days, that smug tone in his voice would turn into something very different. And that $10,000 down payment would become evidence in a courtroom. But before I continue, check if you're already subscribed to the channel and leave your like. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you listening to my story from? I really want to know how far it has reached. Let me take you back to the beginning, because you need to understand who Marcus was to me, who I thought he was anyway. Marcus Robert Patterson was born on April 14, 1993, at 6:42 in the morning at St. Mary's Hospital in Sacramento. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, 20 inches long. I was 41 years old when I had him, and the doctors had told me for years that I'd never be able to have children. Robert and I had tried for 16 years. 16 long years of disappointment, of negative tests, of hope crushed month after month. And then, like a miracle, Marcus came. I remember the first time I held him. The delivery room smelled like antiseptic, and there was this rhythmic beeping from the monitors. Robert was crying, actually crying, which I'd only seen him do twice in our 20-year marriage. The nurse placed Marcus in my arms and he opened his eyes, these huge hazel eyes, and looked right at me. I swear he smiled. The nurses said it was just gas, but I knew better. "He's ours, Helen," Robert whispered. "Our boy." Robert was a general contractor. Good man, hardworking. He built our house himself in Folsom, a beautiful 3-bedroom ranch with a wraparound porch and an oak tree in the front yard that was already 50 years old when we moved in. He wanted Marcus to have everything we never had growing up. I worked as a bookkeeper for a dental practice, making $32,000 a year back then, which wasn't much even in the 90s, but we managed. We gave Marcus everything. Piano lessons starting at age 6, $45 a week. Soccer, another $60 a month. Summer camps, new clothes, the latest video games. For his 13th birthday, Robert built him a treehouse in that oak tree, spent 3 weeks on it after work. Marcus used it maybe 5 times. But I told myself that's just how kids are, right? They don't appreciate things the way we do. Robert died when Marcus was 19. Sudden heart attack on a job site. He was only 62. I found out later he'd been skipping his blood pressure medication because it made him tired and he wanted to finish a big project. Always working, always providing. The life insurance paid out $85,000. I used $30,000 for the funeral and put the rest in savings, thinking it would be for emergencies, for Marcus's future, for something important. After Robert died, Marcus changed. Or maybe I just started noticing things I'd overlooked before. He dropped out of Sacramento State after 3 semesters, said college wasn't for him. I'd already paid $18,000 in tuition. He moved back home, said he just needed a few months to figure things out. Those few months turned into 3 years. But he was my son, my only child, the miracle baby who'd come after 16 years of prayer. How could I say no? I remember one specific evening, September 7th, 2014. We were sitting on the back deck. The sun was setting, and the air smelled like the jasmine vine that grew along the fence. Marcus was 21. He'd been between jobs for 8 months. "Mom, I've got this amazing opportunity," he said, leaning forward with that excited energy he got when he wanted something. "My buddy Derek is starting a landscaping business. He needs a partner. If I invest $5,000, I'll own 25%. We could make serious money." I remember the exact way the evening light hit his face. He looked so much like Robert in that moment. Same square jaw, same hopeful expression. "Honey, that's a lot of money. Do you have a business plan? Have you talked to a lawyer about the partnership agreement?" "Mom, you gotta trust me. This is gonna work. I'll pay you back in 6 months, I promise." I gave him the $5,000. The landscaping business lasted 2 months. I never saw a penny of that money again. Looking back now, was that the moment I should have said no? Was that when I taught him that Mom was an ATM with no PIN required? But here's the thing you need to understand. When you wait 16 years for a child, when you hold that tiny miracle in your arms, when you lose your husband, and that child is all you have left of him, saying no becomes impossible. Every time Marcus asked for money, I saw that little boy opening his hazel eyes in the delivery room. I saw Robert's face. I saw the son I'd prayed for. Over the next 8 years, there were so many requests. $3,000 for a used car that broke down after 4 months. $1,500 for a certification program that would guarantee him a job. $700 here, $400 there, rent money when he finally moved out into an apartment in Roseville. 12 times I covered his rent, 12 times at $650 a month. Do you know what that adds up to? I do. Because I'm a bookkeeper. That's what I do. I keep track of numbers. Between 2014 and 2024, I gave Marcus approximately $43,000. My retirement savings went from $85,000 to $32,000. I kept telling myself, he's going through a rough patch. The economy is hard on young people. He just needs help getting on his feet. He'll pay me back someday. He's a good boy. But was he? In 2022, Marcus met Amber. Amber Mitchell, 26 years old, worked as a dental hygienist. Blonde, pretty, always dressed in expensive clothes that seemed way beyond a dental hygienist's salary. She drove a BMW and wore designer sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She had this way of looking at everything in my house, like it wasn't quite good enough. I'd see her running her finger along my furniture, checking for dust. She'd scrunch up her nose at the floral wallpaper in my bathroom that I'd put up in 1998. The first time I met her was June 12th, 2022, at a barbecue at Marcus's apartment. It was 95 degrees that day. I brought potato salad and a coconut cream pie. I'd spent 4 hours making that pie, Robert's favorite recipe. "Oh, Helen," Amber said, barely glancing at the pie. "We're actually trying to eat clean. Carbs and sugar are basically poison." "But that's sweet of you." Then she turned to Marcus. "Babe, should we order those organic chicken skewers from that place in Midtown?" I ate my own pie alone in the corner while they took Instagram photos of $40 skewers. But Marcus seemed happy. And isn't that what mothers want? For their children to be happy? By December of 2024, they'd been together for 2.5 years. Marcus had finally found steady work as an assistant manager at a sporting goods store, making around $38,000 a year. Not great, but steady. Amber was pressuring him constantly about expensive things, a trip to Cabo, designer handbags, and rings, always showing him engagement rings. "Marcus and I have been looking at rings," she'd say, showing me pictures on her phone of diamonds that cost more than my car. "I really think a 2-carat is the minimum for a proper engagement. Don't you agree, Helen?" What was I supposed to say to that? Then came December 18th. Marcus called me at 7:30 in the evening. I was watching Wheel of Fortune, eating a turkey sandwich. My Social Security check was $1,217 a month. My pension from the dental practice was $800. After my mortgage payment of $962, utilities, insurance, and groceries, I had maybe $400 left each month. "Mom, I need to ask you something," Marcus said. He sounded different, nervous, almost excited. "You know how Amber and I have been together for a while now?" "Yes, honey." "Well, I want to do something special for New Year's Eve, really special. I want to throw a party at our place, invite all our friends, your friends, make it this big celebration, show Amber how much she means to me, maybe even propose at midnight." My heart swelled. "A proposal? My Marcus getting married? That sounds wonderful, sweetheart. The thing is, Mom, I want it to be perfect. I'm talking catering, a DJ, champagne, decorations, the whole thing. I want to rent one of those photo booths, get a professional photographer, make it Instagram-worthy, you know? But I'm a little short on cash right now. I need to borrow $10,000. I'll pay you back by March, I swear. Tax refund season, I always get a good check back. Plus my boss said there might be a promotion coming. $10,000. That was almost a third of what I had left in savings. Marcus, that's a lot of money for a party. Even a really nice party. I know, Mom, but this is important. This is about my future, about starting a family, about building a life. Isn't that what you and Dad always wanted for me? Besides, think about it. You'll be at the party. You'll get to see where your money went. It'll be amazing. An unforgettable night, I promise. An unforgettable night. He got that part right. I thought about it for 2 days. I barely slept. I kept imagining Marcus getting down on one knee at midnight, surrounded by friends and family, starting his adult life properly. Maybe marriage would settle him down. Maybe having a wife would make him more responsible. But on December 20th, I went to the bank and withdrew $10,000 from my savings account. The teller, a young woman named Jennifer who'd helped me before, looked concerned. "Mrs. Patterson, are you sure about this? That's a significant withdrawal." "It's for my son," I said. "He's getting engaged. It's for a party." She smiled then, warmed up. "Oh, how lovely. Congratulations." But here's what I did that Marcus didn't expect from his 69-year-old mother. I wasn't completely naive. I'd been a bookkeeper for 37 years. I knew about documentation. I knew about protecting yourself. I'd seen too many people get burned by family members who borrowed money. Before I gave Marcus the money, I typed up a simple loan agreement on my computer. Nothing fancy, just one page. It said, "I, Marcus Robert Patterson, borrow $10,000 from Helen Marie Patterson on December 21st, 2024. This is a loan, not a gift. I agree to repay this amount by March 31st, 2025. Purpose, New Year's Eve party expenses." I made 2 copies. I drove to the UPS store on Folsom Boulevard and had them notarized. Cost me $15. Marcus rolled his eyes when I asked him to sign it. "Really, Mom? You don't trust me?" "It's just a formality, honey. For my tax records. You understand. When you're older, you'll want documentation too." He sighed, grabbed the pen, and signed it. Quick scribble, barely legible. But it was signed, and notarized, and dated. And I kept my copy in a manila folder in my desk drawer, right next to my mortgage papers. I handed him the envelope with $10,000 in cash on December 21st at 3:15 in the afternoon. We were standing in my driveway. It was cold, about 48 degrees, and I remember the sky was that flat gray color you get before rain. The oak tree branches were bare. "Thanks, Mom. You're the best. This party is going to be incredible. You're going to be so proud. Wait till you see what I put together." He hugged me. Quick, distracted, already pulling away before his arms had fully wrapped around me. Then he got in his Toyota Camry and drove away. That was the last time Marcus hugged me. But I didn't know that yet. I didn't know that when I checked social media on January 2nd, my world would crack open. I didn't know that there would be no party, no celebration, no proposal, no unforgettable night except the one where I couldn't sleep because my own son had looked me in the eye and lied. I didn't know that my $10,000 would be sitting in a Porsche dealership's bank account as a down payment on an $80,000 car. But I didn't perceive what was really happening. Not yet. Because sometimes, when you love someone that much, you don't see what's right in front of you until it's too late. You know what's funny about hindsight? It makes you feel like the biggest fool in the world. Because when I look back now, the signs were everywhere. Bright red flags waving right in my face. But I kept making excuses, kept finding reasons to justify what was happening. The first real incident I remember was March 3rd, 2023. Marcus had been dating Amber for about 9 months. I invited them over for Sunday dinner, something we used to do regularly when it was just Marcus and me. I'd spent all afternoon making pot roast, Robert's recipe, with carrots and potatoes and that rich gravy Marcus used to love as a kid. They showed up 45 minutes late. I'd set the table for 6 o'clock. The food was getting cold by 6:45. When they finally walked in, Amber was on her phone, didn't even look up. "Sorry, Mom," Marcus said, not sounding sorry at all. "We were at the mall. Amber was trying on dresses." I forced a smile. "That's okay, honey. Come sit down. Everything's ready." Amber finally looked up from her phone. She wrinkled her nose. "Is that beef?" "Marcus, you didn't tell me your mom was making beef. You know I'm trying to cut back on red meat." "You can just eat the vegetables," Marcus said, already sitting down. "The vegetables are cooked with the beef, babe. They're probably full of fat." She turned to me with this patronizing smile. "Helen, do you have any quinoa? Or maybe a salad?" I stood there in my kitchen, the kitchen where I'd raised Marcus, where Robert and I had shared thousands of meals, holding a pot roast that had taken me 4 hours to make. "I have some lettuce," I said quietly. "I can make you a salad." "That would be great. Just olive oil and lemon, no dressing." I'm watching my calories. Marcus ate 3 helpings of pot roast while I made Amber a salad. He didn't say a word about how good it was. Didn't say, "Thank you." When they left at 7:30, Amber had barely touched her salad. She took one photo of it for Instagram with the caption, "Trying to eat healthy even at family dinners," and then pushed it away. I told myself, she's young. Young people have different eating habits. It's not personal. But it felt personal. The second incident was worse. May 27th, 2023. It was my birthday, my 68th birthday. Marcus had called me 2 weeks earlier. "Mom, Amber and I want to take you out for your birthday. Somewhere nice. Our treat." Our treat. I held on to those words. Marcus had never offered to pay for dinner before. Maybe things were changing. Maybe he was finally becoming the man I'd raised him to be. We met at an Italian restaurant in downtown Sacramento, a place called Bella Vista. It was nice, white tablecloths, candles on the tables. I wore my good blue dress, the one I'd bought for Robert's company Christmas party back in 2010. A little outdated maybe, but still nice. Amber showed up in a designer dress that probably cost $600. She air-kissed both my cheeks, leaving a smudge of lipstick. "Happy birthday, Helen." 68. Wow, that's really something. The way she said it made 68 sound ancient, like I was one step from the grave. We ordered. I got chicken parmesan, $18, the cheapest entree on the menu. Marcus ordered a steak for $36. Amber ordered salmon for $32 and an appetizer and a cocktail and dessert. The bill came to $193 with tip. Marcus looked at it and his face went pale. He leaned over to me and whispered, "Mom, I'm really sorry, but I forgot my wallet. Can you cover this? I'll pay you back tomorrow, I swear. I stared at him. Marcus, you said this was your treat. For my birthday. I know, I'm so sorry. I must have left my wallet in my other pants. Please, Mom, don't make a scene. Amber was on her phone, not even paying attention. I paid. $193, almost half my monthly grocery budget. For my own birthday dinner that was supposed to be their gift to me. Marcus never paid me back. When I brought it up a week later, he said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Listen, things are really tight right now. Can we just call it your birthday gift?" My friend Linda from the dental practice, she was there the next day when I told her about it. We were having coffee in the break room. Linda's 72, been retired for 3 years, still comes by to visit. "Helen," she said, gripping my hand across the table, "you need to stop giving that boy money. He's using you." "He's not using me. He just forgot his wallet. It happens." "On your birthday? When he specifically invited you out as a gift?" "Honey, that's not forgetting. That's planning." I pulled my hand away. "You don't understand. He's going through a tough time." "He's been going through a tough time for 10 years. When does it end?" I didn't have an answer for that. Then came August 15th, 2023. Marcus called me at 9:30 at night. I was already in bed, reading a mystery novel. My phone rang, and my heart jumped like it always does when it rings that late. You always think, something's wrong. "Mom, I need a favor." Not "Hi, Mom," not "How are you," just "I need a favor." "What is it, honey?" "My car insurance is due tomorrow and I'm short $200. If I don't pay it, my coverage lapses and I can't drive to work. Can you transfer me the money? I'll pay you back Friday when I get paid." $200. I had $312 in my checking account until my next Social Security check. "Marcus, I'm really low on funds right now. Can you borrow it from Amber?" "Amber's got her own bills, Mom. Come on, it's just $200. You know I'm good for it." Was he good for it? He hadn't paid me back for my birthday dinner 3 months earlier, but I sent him the money, Venmo transfer at 9:47 p.m. He didn't pay me back that Friday, or the next Friday, or ever. Do you see the pattern? Because I didn't. Not yet. October 9th, 2023. This one hurt the most. It was Robert's birthday. He would have been 73. I always visited his grave on his birthday, brought fresh flowers, spent some time talking to him. I'd asked Marcus 2 weeks earlier if he wanted to come with me. "Yeah, Mom, definitely. Text me the time." I texted him. We agreed on 2 p.m. I showed up at the cemetery at 1:45, bought a bouquet of white roses from the flower shop across the street for $28. Robert loved white roses. I stood at his grave waiting. 2 p.m. came and went. 2:15, 2:30. I called Marcus at 2:35. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. "Hey, it's Marcus. Leave a message." "Honey, it's Mom. I'm at the cemetery. Are you coming?" He texted back at 2:51. "Sorry, totally forgot. Amber needed help moving furniture at her mom's place. Can't make it." I stood there reading that text. The sun was hot on my shoulders. A crow was cawing from a nearby tree. The white roses were already starting to wilt in the heat. He forgot. His own father's birthday, because Amber needed help moving furniture. I sat down on the grass next to Robert's headstone, and I cried. Really cried. The kind of crying where you can't catch your breath. "I don't know what to do," I whispered to the headstone. "I don't know how to reach him anymore." A woman walking past stopped and asked if I was okay. I wiped my eyes and nodded, but I wasn't okay. That evening, my neighbor Patricia knocked on my door. Patricia's 65, lives in the house next door with her husband Tom. We've been neighbors for 23 years. "Helen, I saw Marcus's car pull up earlier and leave after 5 minutes. Everything all right?" I hadn't even known he'd come by. "When was this?" "Around 4:30. He took a package from your porch. I waved at him, but he didn't wave back, just got in his car and drove off." I checked my porch. There had been a package there, something I'd ordered from Amazon, a new coffee maker, $63. It was gone. I called Marcus. "Did you take a package from my porch today?" "Oh, yeah. I saw it and figured it was something you ordered for me. Opened it in the car. It was just a coffee maker, so I left it by your front door. Marcus, I didn't see... Gotta go, Mom. Amber's calling me. The coffee maker was sitting on the side of the house, in the dirt, the box torn open and dented. He hadn't even bothered to bring it inside. Patricia was still standing there when I found it. She didn't say anything, just shook her head and went back to her house. But what really broke something in me was November 24th, 2023, Thanksgiving. I'd invited Marcus and Amber over for Thanksgiving dinner. I'd spent 2 days preparing. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce from scratch, 2 pies. I set the table with my good china, the set Robert's mother had given us as a wedding present. I put out cloth napkins, lit candles. Dinner was set for 3 p.m. At 2:45, Marcus texted, "Hey, Mom, change of plans. Amber's parents invited us to their place in El Dorado Hills. Their house is really nice, and they're having like 20 people. We're gonna go there instead. Save us some leftovers?" I stood in my kitchen surrounded by food. Enough food for 6 people. The turkey was perfect, golden brown, just out of the oven. The house smelled like sage and butter and all the Thanksgivings Robert and I had shared, and I was alone. I called my friend Linda. She and her family were just sitting down to eat, but she heard something in my voice. "Come over here right now, Helen. We have plenty of food. You shouldn't be alone today." "I have a whole turkey here, Linda. I can't just..." "Then bring the turkey. Bring everything. My kids would love more food. Come on, don't sit there alone." I went. Loaded up my car with all the food I'd made. Linda's family welcomed me with open arms. Her daughter, Sarah, 36 years old, helped me bring everything in. "Your son didn't come?" Sarah asked. "He had other plans." Sarah's jaw tightened. "On Thanksgiving? After you made all this? What kind of..." Linda touched her arm and she stopped. But I saw the look on her face. It was pity. That's when I realized other people saw what I'd been refusing to see. That my son didn't respect me. That he took and never gave back. That he'd been doing it for years and I'd been letting him because I was afraid that if I said no, I'd lose him completely. But here's what I didn't understand yet. I'd already lost him. The Marcus I thought I knew, the little boy who'd smiled up at me in the delivery room, the son I'd sacrificed everything for, he was gone. Maybe he'd never really existed. Maybe I'd just loved an idea of who I wanted him to be. And Amber? She'd only made it worse. She'd seen a man who would do anything to please her, even if it meant abandoning his own mother. And she'd encouraged it. What I discovered after was that I wasn't the only one Marcus was taking advantage of. But I wouldn't learn that until much later, when everything exploded. The pattern was clear now, wasn't it? Every few months, another incident. Another broken promise. Another manipulation. Another humiliation. And every time, I made an excuse. I justified it. I told myself, next time will be different. But December 21st, when I handed him that envelope with $10,000, I didn't know I was making the biggest mistake of all. I didn't know that this time he'd go too far. That this time I'd finally say, enough. After that phone call on January 2nd, when Marcus laughed at me and hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for 3 hours. I didn't move. I just stared at that photo on Instagram of Amber draped across the red Porsche. The sun moved across the sky, and shadows crept across my kitchen floor, and I just sat there. At 2:17 p.m., I tried calling Marcus again. It went straight to voicemail. He'd blocked my number. My own son had blocked me. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not my heart, exactly. Something deeper. Like the foundation of who I thought I was, who I thought we were, just crumbled into dust. But I wasn't ready to give up yet. I still believed, somehow, that this was a misunderstanding. That if I could just talk to him face to face, explain how much that money meant to me, he'd see reason. He'd apologize. We'd fix this. On January 4th, a Thursday, I drove to Marcus's apartment in Roseville. It was raining, that cold January rain that soaks through everything. I got there at 11 a.m. His Toyota Camry was in the parking lot, so I knew he was home. I'd brought a Tupperware container of his favorite chocolate chip cookies, the ones I'd been making since he was 5 years old. Robert's mother's recipe. I knocked on the door. Once, twice, 3 times. "Marcus, honey, I know you're in there. Please, can we just talk?" Nothing. I knocked again. "Marcus, please. I just want to understand. If you needed the money for something else, you should have told me. We can work this out." The door opened. But it wasn't Marcus. It was Amber. She stood there in silk pajamas that probably cost $200, her hair in a messy bun, holding a mug of coffee. She looked at me like I was a door-to-door salesman selling something she didn't want. "Helen, what are you doing here? I need to talk to Marcus. Is he home?" "He's sleeping. He worked late last night." "Can you wake him up? Please, this is important." Amber took a sip of her coffee, slow, deliberate. "Look, Helen, Marcus told me what happened, about the money thing. And honestly, you need to let it go." "Let it go?" "Amber, that was $10,000. Money I gave him for a specific purpose. Money he promised to pay back." She laughed. Actually laughed, just like Marcus had. "Helen, come on. You're his mother. Mothers help their kids. That's what you're supposed to do. Marcus said you've been giving him money his whole life. Why is this different?" My hands were shaking. The Tupperware container felt heavy. "Because he lied to me. He looked me in the eye and lied." "Did he, though? Or did you just hear what you wanted to hear? Marcus says you always guilt-trip him about money, that you keep track of every penny and throw it in his face." The rain was getting heavier. I was getting soaked standing in the doorway. "That's not true. I've never—" "Look, I don't have time for this drama. Marcus and I are building a life together, a real life. And honestly, Helen, you need to accept that he's not your little boy anymore. He's a man, my man. And if you can't support us, then maybe you should just stay away." She started to close the door. I put my hand out to stop it. "Please, Amber, I just want to talk to him. 5 minutes." "No." Her voice went cold, hard. "Marcus doesn't want to see you right now. You're stressing him out. So do us both a favor and leave, and don't come back unless we invite you." The door closed in my face. I heard the deadbolt click. I stood there in the rain holding a container of chocolate chip cookies, and I thought about when Marcus was 7 years old. He'd fallen off his bike and scraped his knee badly, blood everywhere. He'd cried, and I'd held him and cleaned the wound and put on a Band-Aid with little dinosaurs on it. He'd hugged me so tight and said, "You always make everything better, Mommy." When did I stop being able to make things better? When did I become the problem instead of the solution? I left the cookies by the door and drove home. The whole way I cried so hard I could barely see the road. I had to pull over twice. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept checking Instagram. At 11:37 p.m., Amber posted another photo. Her and Marcus at a fancy restaurant. She was wearing a new necklace, diamonds catching the light. The caption, "My man knows how to treat me right. Best life with my best guy." Comments were flooding in. "So lucky." "Couple goals." "That necklace is gorgeous," someone asked. "How can you guys afford all this? Give me your secrets." Amber replied, "When you work hard and make smart choices, good things happen." Smart choices. Like using a 69-year-old woman's life savings for a down payment on a car. On January 7th, I tried a different approach. I sent Marcus an email. I spent 2 hours writing it, deleting it, rewriting it. I tried to be calm, rational, not accusatory. I explained my financial situation. I reminded him about the signed agreement. I said I loved him and wanted to work this out, but I needed him to honor his word. He never responded. On January 10th, I called the sporting goods store where he worked. I asked to speak to Marcus Patterson. "1 moment, please," the receptionist said. I heard hold music for 30 seconds. Then Marcus's voice, cold and clipped. "Mom, you can't call me at work. You won't answer my calls. You won't respond to my emails. What else am I supposed to do? You're supposed to let it go. I'm at work. I can't deal with this right now. Marcus, I need that money, or at least some of it. I'm down to $22,000 in savings." If something happens, if my car breaks down or I have a medical emergency, then use your credit card like everyone else. Look, I gotta go. I have customers. Marcus, wait. Stop calling me. Stop showing up at my apartment. Stop harassing me, or I swear to God, I'll file a restraining order. A restraining order against his own mother for asking for her money back. The line went dead. I sat in my living room and I felt something I'd never felt toward Marcus before. It wasn't just hurt. It wasn't just disappointment. It was anger. Real, burning, visceral anger. My friend Linda came over that evening. I'd called her crying and she dropped everything and drove straight to my house. She brought a bottle of wine and a box of tissues. "Tell me everything," she said. I did. Every detail. The party that never happened. The Porsche. The blocked number, Amber at the door, the threat of a restraining order. Linda's face got redder and redder as I talked. When I finished, she was gripping her wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. "Helen, you have to sue him." "Sue my own son?" "Yes, he stole from you. He committed fraud. You have a signed contract." "I can't, Linda. He's my son. He's all I have left of Robert. Robert would be ashamed of what Marcus has become. You know he would. Robert worked himself to death to provide for that boy, and this is how Marcus honors his memory, by stealing from his widow." I started crying again. Linda moved to the couch and put her arm around me. "I know this is hard," she said softly. "I know you love him. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy you. And that's what he's doing, Helen. He's destroying you financially and emotionally. And for what? For a girl who doesn't even respect him, who's using him just like he's using you." "What do you mean?" Linda pulled out her phone and opened Facebook. "I did a little digging. Look at this." She showed me Amber's Facebook profile. I'd never looked at it before, only Instagram. There were posts going back months, photos of Amber with other men, comments on her relationship status. One post from November, before Marcus asked me for the money. "Sometimes you gotta date a guy with potential, not a guy with money. Investments, ladies. Investments." Another from December 15th. "My man about to come into some money. New year, new life, new toys." She'd known. Before Marcus even asked me, Amber had known he was going to get money somehow. They'd planned it together. My stomach turned. I barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up. Linda held my hair back, just like I'd done for Marcus when he was sick as a child. The irony wasn't lost on me. "You need a lawyer," Linda said when I'd finished. "I know someone. Her name is Rebecca Chen. She handles family law and contract disputes. Let me call her." "I can't afford a lawyer." "She does free consultations. At least talk to her. Find out your options. You don't have to decide anything right now. Just get information. Knowledge is power, Helen." I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. My face was pale, hollow. I'd lost 8 pounds in the last week. There were dark circles under my eyes. I looked older than 69. I looked defeated. And then I thought about something Robert used to say. He'd say it whenever we faced a difficult contractor or a challenging project. "Don't let people mistake kindness for weakness." I'd been kind to Marcus his whole life. I'd sacrificed, given, supported, enabled. And he'd mistaken all of it for weakness. He thought I'd just roll over, that I'd let it go, that I'd accept being stolen from, and blocked, and threatened, because I loved him. But there was something he didn't know about me. Something I'd learned from being a bookkeeper for 37 years. Numbers don't lie. And I had all the numbers. On January 13th, I had my consultation with Rebecca Chen. She was 43, sharp-eyed, with a no-nonsense demeanor that I found comforting. I brought my folder, the signed loan agreement, the notarized copy, my bank withdrawal slip from December 20th, screenshots of Marcus's texts promising to repay the money after the party, the email I'd sent him detailing everything, his lack of response. Rebecca looked through it all. Then she looked up at me and smiled. Actually smiled. "Mrs. Patterson, this is one of the strongest cases I've seen in a long time. Your son signed a notarized loan agreement. You have documentation of the purpose and the promise to repay. You have proof that the stated purpose was fraudulent. This is textbook fraud and breach of contract." "But he's my son." I understand. But legally, that doesn't change anything. He committed a crime, and you have every right to pursue legal action. What would happen? If I sued him? Best case scenario, the judge would order him to repay the full amount plus interest and legal fees. Worst case, you'd at least get a judgment on record, which would damage his credit and make it harder for him to do this to someone else. Would he go to jail? This is civil, not criminal, so no jail time. But there would be consequences. Financial consequences. And public record consequences. I sat there in her office, surrounded by law books and diplomas on the wall, and I thought about Marcus at 7 years old with his scraped knee. Marcus at 13 in his treehouse. Marcus at 19 crying at Robert's funeral. But then I thought about Marcus at 31 laughing at me on the phone. Marcus letting Amber slam a door in my face. Marcus threatening me with a restraining order for asking for my own money back. "How much do you charge?" I asked. "My retainer is $1,500, but I think we can settle this out of court if we send a strong demand letter first. That would cost you $500. $500. Almost everything I had left in my checking account after bills. But what choice did I have? Let him get away with it? Lose $10,000 and my dignity? Do it, I said. Send the letter. Rebecca shook my hand. "You're doing the right thing, Mrs. Patterson." Was I? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was that I couldn't keep being the person who let people take from me. I couldn't keep being weak. On January 18th, Rebecca sent a formal demand letter to Marcus. It gave him 14 days to repay the full $10,000 or face legal action. And that's when everything really exploded. What I discovered next changed everything. Not just about the money, but about who Marcus really was, about what else he'd been hiding, about the other lies I was about to uncover. Because it turns out, I wasn't the only person Marcus had stolen from. And when I found out the whole truth, I realized that saving myself meant saving other people too. Marcus received the demand letter on January 20th at 4:32 p.m. I know the exact time because Rebecca got the delivery confirmation and called me immediately. "He's received it. Now we wait." I didn't have to wait long. At 6:15 that evening, my phone rang. Not Marcus's number. He'd blocked me. It was Amber's number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? What the hell is wrong with you?" Amber's voice was shrill, panicked. "You're suing Marcus? Your own son? Are you insane?" My hand tightened on the phone. He stole $10,000 from me. He lied. He committed fraud. "It wasn't fraud. You gave him that money. You can't just change your mind because you're a bitter old woman who can't stand to see us happy." He signed a contract, Amber, a legal, notarized contract. That contract is bullshit and you know it. You manipulated him into signing it. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt something unfamiliar. Power. Control. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't the one begging. I wasn't the one being dismissed. 3 minutes later, Marcus called from Amber's phone. I answered. "Mom, please, you're making a huge mistake." His voice was different now, not cold, not dismissive, scared. "If you sue me, it'll ruin my credit. I could lose my job. Please, can't we just talk about this?" I tried to talk. "You blocked my number. You had Amber shut a door in my face. You threatened me with a restraining order. I was angry, okay? I said things I didn't mean. But this... Mom, this is too far. You're going to destroy my life over money? You destroyed my financial security over a car, Marcus, for your girlfriend's car. I'll pay you back. Just drop the lawsuit and I'll pay you back, I promise." How many times had I heard those words? How many promises had been broken? "You have 14 days to pay the full amount," I said, my voice steady. $10,000. If you pay it, the lawsuit goes away. Those are the terms. "I don't have $10,000. I used it for the down payment. The car is financed for 72 months. I can't just..." "Then you should have thought about that before you lied to me." I hung up, and I cried, because even though I was doing the right thing, it still hurt. It still felt like I was losing my son all over again. Over the next 3 days, I got 17 calls from Amber's number. I didn't answer any of them. They left voicemails, angry ones, pleading ones. Amber crying, Marcus crying, both of them telling me I was destroying their lives, their future, their happiness. Not once did either of them say, "I'm sorry." On January 24th, something unexpected happened. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Sacramento area code. "Hello? Mrs. Patterson? My name is Kyle Brennan. This is awkward, but I'm Marcus's co-worker at the sporting goods store. Can I talk to you for a minute?" "About what?" "About Marcus and money. Look, I heard through the grapevine that you're having issues with him, and I think there's something you should know." My heart started racing. "What is it?" "6 months ago, Marcus asked me for a loan, $3,000. Said his mom, you were sick and needed surgery and insurance wouldn't cover it. He showed me pictures of medical bills. Said he'd pay me back in 3 months when you got your settlement." I felt the room spin. I was never sick. There was no surgery. "Yeah, I'm figuring that out now. He never paid me back. I kept asking and he kept making excuses. Then I heard he bought his girlfriend a Porsche and I started putting things together." "Did you keep any documentation? Texts? Emails?" "Everything. I'm not stupid. I had him sign a promissory note, not notarized or anything, but signed, and I have all our text exchanges where he talked about your surgery." "Kyle, would you be willing to share that with my lawyer?" "Absolutely. That's why I'm calling. If you're going after him legally, I want in. $3,000 might not sound like much, but I'm a college student working part-time. That was my entire savings." I got Kyle's information and gave it to Rebecca. She was thrilled. "This strengthens your case exponentially. It shows a pattern of fraudulent behavior. This isn't a one-time mistake or misunderstanding. This is who he is." But it got worse. Or better, depending on how you looked at it. 2 days later, on January 26th, I got another call. This time from a woman named Jessica Torres. "Mrs. Patterson, you don't know me, but I'm Derek's sister. Derek, the guy Marcus was supposed to start a landscaping business with back in 2014? I remembered. The $5,000 I'd given Marcus that disappeared. "Marcus told you that business failed, right?" Jessica continued. "That Derek couldn't make it work?" "Yes. That's a lie. There was no business. Derek never asked Marcus for money. Marcus came to Derek with this plan to pretend they were starting a business so he could get money from you. Derek said no. He wanted nothing to do with it. Marcus took your money and spent it on God knows what. Probably partying and video games, knowing him. When Derek found out Marcus had gone through with the lie anyway, they stopped being friends. Derek's been feeling guilty about it for years. When he heard through mutual friends that Marcus scammed you again, he asked me to call you. 10 years. For 10 years, I'd believed that story about the landscaping business. Would Derek be willing to give a statement? I asked. He already wrote one up. Just tell me where to send it. By January 28th, Rebecca had statements from Kyle and Derek. She also discovered something else. "Mrs. Patterson, I did some digging into public records. Did you know Marcus filed for bankruptcy in 2019? "What? No, he never told me. He discharged $43,000 in credit card debt, and looking at the timeline, this was while you were still giving him rent money every month. He was living beyond his means, racking up debt, and then walking away from it while you kept subsidizing his life. $43,000. The same amount I'd given him over the years. He'd taken everything I gave him and still managed to go bankrupt, and he never told me. "There's more," Rebecca said. "Amber Mitchell. I looked into her background. She's been engaged 3 times in the last 5 years. Never married. Each time, the relationship ended shortly after the man made a large purchase for her. A car for one ex, a boat for another, jewelry for the third. There's a pattern here. She's using him. And he's using you. It's a whole chain of exploitation." I sat in Rebecca's office holding all these documents, evidence of lie after lie after lie, and I realized something. I'd been mourning the loss of a son who never existed. The Marcus I loved, the Marcus I'd sacrificed for, he was a fiction I'd created in my head. The real Marcus was a con artist who saw his own mother as a mark. What happens now? I asked. Now, we have more than enough to win. The 14 days are almost up. If he doesn't pay by February 3rd, we file the lawsuit officially. And given all this additional evidence, I'd recommend adding emotional distress to the claim. February 3rd. That was 6 days away. Do you think he'll pay? I asked. Rebecca looked at me with sad, knowing eyes. No, Mrs. Patterson, I don't think he will. Men like Marcus, they don't think consequences apply to them, not until they're sitting in front of a judge. She was right. February 3rd came and went. No payment. No contact? Nothing. On February 4th, Rebecca filed the lawsuit. Marcus Robert Patterson was being sued by his own mother for $10,000 plus interest, legal fees, and emotional distress. Total amount, $14,300. The process server found Marcus at work on February 6th. He served him the papers right there at the sporting goods store in front of his co-workers and customers. Kyle texted me about it. He turned completely white. Just stood there holding the papers. His manager asked what was wrong, and Marcus said nothing and went to the bathroom for 20 minutes. Everyone's talking about it. That evening, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Marcus's manager, Bill Henderson. I'd met him once, years ago, at a company barbecue. Mrs. Patterson, I'm calling about Marcus. I'm not supposed to do this, but he's falling apart here. He's made mistakes on the register, been late 3 times this week, snapped at customers. And now I hear his mother is suing him? What's going on? I told him. Not everything, but enough. The loan, the lie, the car. There was a long silence. Jesus, Bill finally said. I had no idea. Listen, I can't get involved in family stuff, but between you and me, there's been some inventory discrepancies, small things. A couple $100 worth of merchandise that went missing. I've been trying to figure out who's responsible. I think I need to look more closely at Marcus. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. If he's stealing, I need to know. Thank you for being honest with me. 3 days later, Kyle texted me again. Marcus got fired. They caught him stealing equipment and returning it to other stores for cash. He's been doing it for months, security footage and everything. The house of cards was collapsing. On February 15th, Marcus's court date was set. April 9th, 60 days away. Amber left him on February 23rd. I know because she posted it on Instagram with a long caption about knowing your worth and not being dragged down by other people's poor choices. The Porsche appeared for sale on Facebook Marketplace the next day. Asking price, $72,000. No down payment mentioned. Marcus moved back to his apartment alone. Kyle told me he'd been asking their former co-workers for money. Nobody would give him any. On March 1st, Marcus's lawyer, a public defender since he couldn't afford a real attorney, contacted Rebecca about settling. They're offering $3,000, Rebecca told me. Paid over 12 months. That's less than a third of what he owes. I know. What do you want to do? I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. No, we go to court. Are you sure? Litigation is stressful. You'd have to face him, testify. It'll be emotional. I'm sure. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about accountability, about consequences, about standing up for myself after a lifetime of backing down. The weeks crept by. March disappeared into April. I didn't hear from Marcus directly, but I heard about him. He'd moved to a cheaper apartment. He was working at a fast food restaurant, the only place that would hire him after being fired for theft. Amber had blocked him on all social media. His life was unraveling. And part of me, a part I'm not proud of, felt satisfied. But mostly, I just felt sad. Sad that it had come to this. Sad that he'd made choices that led us here. Sad that the little boy I'd loved more than my own life had become someone I didn't recognize. On April 8th, the day before court, Patricia from next door came over with a casserole. Comfort food, she said. For tomorrow, you're going to need your strength. I don't know if I can do this, Patricia. Going to court against my own son. You can, and you will. Because you're stronger than you think, Helen. You always have been. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what I'd say if I got the chance. If Marcus looked at me, if he tried to talk to me, would I forgive him? Could I? April 9th arrived cold and gray. The courthouse was in downtown Sacramento, an imposing building with marble floors and high ceilings. Linda came with me. She held my hand the whole way in. Marcus was already there when we arrived, sitting on a bench outside the courtroom. He looked terrible. He'd lost weight. His clothes were wrinkled. There were dark circles under his eyes that matched mine. When he saw me, he stood up. For a moment, we just stared at each other across 15 feet of marble floor. "Mom," he said quietly. I didn't respond. I couldn't. If I opened my mouth, I'd start crying and I'd work too hard to stay strong. His lawyer, a tired-looking woman in a worn suit, tried to approach Rebecca one more time. "Can we talk settlement? My client is willing to go up to $5,000, payment plan over 2 years. Rebecca looked at me. I shook my head. "My client declines." "Mrs. Patterson," Marcus's lawyer said directly to me, "I understand you're angry. But dragging this through court, it's only going to cost you more money and cause more pain." "Is that really what you want?" "What I want," I said, my voice steady despite the tears building in my eyes, "is for my son to face the consequences of his actions. That's all I've ever wanted. For him to be accountable, to be honest, to be the man his father raised him to be." Marcus looked at the floor. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Just a judge's bench, a few rows of seats, fluorescent lights that hummed. Judge Martha Kowalski presided, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and zero nonsense in her demeanor. Rebecca presented our case methodically. The signed loan agreement, the bank records, the text messages, the Instagram posts showing the Porsche. My testimony about the party that never happened. Then, the additional evidence. Kyle's statement about the fake surgery. Derek's statement about the fake business. The pattern of fraud spanning 10 years. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that the loan agreement was signed under duress, that I'd manipulated an emotionally vulnerable young man, that gifts between family members shouldn't require legal documentation. Judge Kowalski cut her off. "Counselor, your client signed a notarized document. That's not duress, that's a contract. And frankly, the evidence shows a pattern of fraudulent behavior that goes far beyond this single incident. I've seen enough." She turned to Marcus. "Mr. Patterson, stand up, please." Marcus stood. He looked like he might throw up. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm sorry, Mom. I wanted to make Amber happy. I wanted her to think I was successful. You wanted to use your mother's money to impress your girlfriend," Judge Kowalski said flatly. "Mr. Patterson, I'm ordering you to repay Mrs. Patterson the full amount of $14,300. You have 90 days to pay in full, or we'll set up a wage garnishment. Do you understand?" "I don't have that kind of money." "Then I suggest you find it. Sell the car. Get a second job. That's your problem, not the courts. You committed fraud against your own mother. You're lucky she filed civil and not criminal charges." She banged her gavel. It was over. Outside the courtroom, Marcus tried to approach me one more time. "Mom, please, can we talk? Really talk?" I looked at my son, at this stranger who had my husband's eyes and my last name, and absolutely none of the character I'd tried to instill in him. I still wonder if I did the right thing. "And you, what would you have done in my place?" "When you have the money," I said quietly, "call my lawyer, not me, my lawyer. I can't do this anymore, Marcus. I can't keep letting you hurt me. I'm your son." "I know, and that's what makes this so heartbreaking." I walked away. Linda's arm around me, holding me up as my legs threatened to give out. Behind me, I heard Marcus start to cry. Real ugly sobs. I didn't turn around. Marcus sold the Porsche 3 weeks after the court date. He got $68,000 for it, less than what was owed on the loan. The bank took their money. What was left went to paying me back in installments of $800 a month. It took him exactly 18 months to pay me the full $14,300. The last payment came through on October 9th, 2026. I checked my bank account that morning and saw the final transfer, and I felt nothing. Not relief, not satisfaction, just emptiness. The money was back, but everything else was gone. Kyle Brennan also sued Marcus in small claims court and won his $3,000 back. Marcus is still paying him $50 a month. At that rate, it'll take him 5 years. Marcus still works at that fast food restaurant. I heard from Patricia that he's been trying to go back to school, taking online classes at a community college. Business management, ironically. Maybe he's trying to rebuild his life. Maybe he's learned something. I don't know. We don't talk. I've seen him exactly once since the trial. It was November 24th, 2026. Thanksgiving. Almost 3 years to the day since he ditched me for Amber's parents' house. I was at the grocery store, buying ingredients for a small dinner I was having with Linda and Patricia and their families. I turned the corner into the frozen foods aisle, and there he was, standing in front of the turkey section. He looked older, tired. He was wearing a fast food uniform with a name tag. Our eyes met. For a few seconds, we just stared at each other over the frozen turkeys and the hum of the refrigerator units. "Hi, Mom," he said softly. "Hello, Marcus." Silence. A woman squeezed past us with her cart, muttering about people blocking the aisle. "I've been wanting to call you," he said, "but I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me." "I don't know either," I said honestly. "I'm sorry. I know I said it before, but I really am sorry. For all of it. I was a terrible son. I took advantage of you. I lied. I hurt you. And I don't know how to fix it." I looked at this man, this 33-year-old man who I'd given birth to, raised, sacrificed for, who I'd loved more than anything in the world. "I don't know if you can fix it, Marcus. I don't know if we can go back to what we were." His eyes filled with tears. "Can we at least try? Maybe coffee sometime, just to talk?" I thought about it. Part of me, that mother part that never fully dies, wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe that people can change, that my son could become the man I'd always hoped he'd be. But another part, the part that had been hurt too many times, the part that had finally learned to protect itself, hesitated. "I need more time," I said finally. "I'm not saying no. I'm saying, not yet." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "Okay, I understand. I'll wait, however long it takes." I walked away with my cart. When I glanced back, he was still standing there, staring at the turkeys, looking lost. I don't know if we'll ever repair our relationship. I don't know if I want to. Some breaks are too deep to mend. Some trust, once shattered, can't be glued back together. But I do know this. I survived. I stood up for myself. I refused to be a victim. And that matters more than I can express. My savings account is back up to $38,000. Not where it was when Robert died, but better than the $22,000 I had at my lowest point. I'm careful now, cautious. I don't lend money to anyone, not even friends. Not because I'm bitter, but because I've learned that protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Linda is still my best friend. She checks on me every day, calls me every morning at 8:30 like clockwork. Patricia and Tom invite me over for dinner twice a week. I've joined a book club at the library. I volunteer at a food bank on Thursdays. My life is small, but it's mine, and it's peaceful. I think about Robert often. Wonder what he'd think about everything that happened. Would he be disappointed in Marcus? In me for suing our son? Would he understand? I like to think he would. I like to think he'd see that I didn't give up on Marcus. I gave up on being used. There's a difference. As for Amber, I heard she's engaged again. Her 4th engagement in 6 years, to a dentist this time. I saw the announcement on Facebook. Huge diamond ring, bigger than the one Marcus could never afford to give her. I almost felt sorry for the dentist. Almost. So what did I learn from all of this? What wisdom can I offer to anyone listening who might be going through something similar? First, Love doesn't mean unlimited tolerance. You can love someone and still set boundaries. You can love someone and still say no. Protecting yourself from harm, even from family, isn't betrayal. It's survival. Second, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I ignored red flags for 10 years because I wanted to believe in the son I remembered, not the man he'd become. That was my mistake. People change, and not always for the better. Third, document everything. That notarized loan agreement saved me. Without it, I would have had no case, no recourse, no justice. If you're lending money to family, treat it like a business transaction, because if it goes wrong, you'll need proof. Fourth, you are not responsible for other people's poor choices. Marcus's debt, his job loss, his failed relationship, none of that was my fault. He made his choices. He faced the consequences. That's how it should be. Fifth, it's never too late to stand up for yourself. I was 69 years old when I finally said enough. I'd spent decades being accommodating, being understanding, being the mom who never said no. And look where it got me. But I changed. At 69, I found my voice. If I can do it, anyone can. Sixth, forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. I'm working on forgiving Marcus, not for his sake, but for mine. Because carrying anger is exhausting. But forgiveness doesn't mean letting him back into my life. It doesn't mean trusting him again. It means releasing the hold that resentment has on my heart. And finally, you deserve better than being treated like an ATM. Whether it's your child, your spouse, your sibling, your friend, no one has the right to exploit your kindness. Your generosity should be appreciated, not expected. Reciprocated, not taken for granted. If you're in a situation like mine, where someone you love is using you, taking advantage of your generosity, please hear me. It's okay to say no. It's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to demand respect. And if they can't give you that respect, it's okay to walk away. I know it's hard. I know it feels like you're abandoning someone you love, but you're not abandoning them. You're refusing to participate in your own exploitation. There's a profound difference. My relationship with Marcus may never recover. That's a grief I carry every day. But I also carry something else now. Self-respect. Dignity. The knowledge that I stood up for myself when it mattered most. And honestly, that's worth more than any relationship built on manipulation and lies. I'm 71 years old now. I have maybe 15, 20 good years left, if I'm lucky. I'm going to spend them surrounded by people who value me, who respect me, who see me as more than a source of money. I'm going to spend them in peace. Robert used to say that life is too short to waste on people who don't appreciate you. He was right. It took me losing everything to understand that. So to anyone listening who needed to hear this, you are worthy of respect. You are worthy of honesty. You are worthy of love that doesn't come with conditions and demands and lies. And if the people in your life can't give you that, maybe it's time to find people who can. Thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to share, but if it helps even one person find the courage to stand up for themselves, then it was worth it. Did I do the right thing? I still ask myself that question, but I think I did. Not the easy thing, not the comfortable thing, but the right thing. And in the end, that's what matters. Leave your like so I know this story touched you, and subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow I'll be bringing another story that marked my life. Tell me in the comments what you think. Would you have done the same? Or would you have chosen differently? I really want to know. Wherever you are in the world, whatever struggle you're facing, remember, you're stronger than you think, and you deserve better than being someone's doormat. Take care of yourselves, and protect your peace. It's worth protecting.